watch what I'm saying when I'm talking.
They keep sending me messages that you're up for an upgrade. No, I don't need an
Mine
upgrade.
was 3 years older.
Okay.
My upgrade was 3 years older.
I'm about 2 years now.
So, yeah, window.
Yeah, I couldn't use it.
I'd still have one of those flip phones if they use them.
Yeah, you still do.
Can you?
My dad had open up.
Thank you, ma'am. So
Bigger.
open on.
Just a flip.
Got it.
Yeah, I know.
What's in there?
The first cell phone I had weighed about 30 pounds.
That's the one in the back.
In the bag. I carried it on the mail route with me.
I run a service.
Yeah, I don't need to remember.
It had an antenna on the bag. On the bag.
She's at home because her shorts are right about where the incisions are. And she says, I put my pajamas on and I just
Well, no, but I got you copies of it. I had to go print some more of those out. I mean, it's getting that time, isn't it? Turn
do
your
a
mics
brave
on,
man, younger
please.
than.
Yeah, we already did.
All right, it is now 7:01 p.m. on Thursday, the 11th of 2024. And I don't have my council thing from me, but I don't need it, just like this. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being here. We got a house full. Love it. Appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our prayer, if y'all don't mind. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for everything that you do for us in every way. We thank you for our town. We love our little town. We love the citizens in it. Everybody here tries to help everyone. We thank you for our first responders, our police departments, fire department, our city workers. They're out there in this heat constantly, working to protect us and to make us safe. Lord God, I thank everybody up here on this council member. I thank our city administrator, our inside city workers. Without them, Lord God, we wouldn't know what to do. So I just want to say thank you. I ask for all these things in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and one.
You may have a seat. Come on in, sir, and have a seat. There's some seats up front. This is not church, so you can sit in front.
It's not church, so you can't sit.
You're supposed to tell him to leave.
That's what I said. That's when I said that. The reason I was saying it.
Oh, man.
Okay. Do we have our citizens presentation, a roll call? Yeah, we need that first, don't we? Okay, in the back we have Pam Combs, our city secretary, back there. We have our two city police officers, and I never can remember last names, Officer Hesterberg and Irwin. And she was in an incident not too long ago, so she's back with us now. Yay, yay, yay. We're glad everything's perfect for you, okay? See, we don't have anybody else in the back there. Okay, up here, we have to my left, we have Councilman Wiggins, Councilman McGruer, our city administrator, Kent Manton, and to my left, we have Mr. Councilman Griffin to my right, and we have our Councilman Prater and Councilwoman McLaughlin. Okay, our citizens presentation. The city welcomes any public comments at this point. Anybody that wants to speak can have 5 minutes, uninterrupted. We cannot answer and we cannot respond. As long as it's not on the agenda, we can listen to you. Do we have anybody signed up to speak at this time? No. Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, number 3, sanitary sewer system revised rate structure. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on a revised rate structure for the new sanitary sewer system. Kent?
Mayor, council, community, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to get to be transparent with you and to show you how we could potentially move this sewer system forward. Pam, would you mind clicking into the slideshow so I can move forward a little bit? Yes, ma'am, just click right there and that should work. There we go. Thank you so much. Okay, just a quick recap for everybody in the room on where we've been with our sewer system. So to date, we have not received any money from any external agency for this project. It has been cash flowed completely by the city of Bruceville-Eddy. We have spent about $973,000 to date on engineering and permitting costs to get us to this decision point, or to these decision points. Over the past 2 years, we've been working to secure additional funding for this project from various sources to no avail. The current awards cover 5 projects: fully functioning wastewater plant, the collection system, the customer service connections, and I highlighted that one there just to reiterate the fact that everybody's individual service connection for this one is included in the price, and the decommissioning of private roads, and lastly, a full street overlay of any roads that do get torn up from the sewer project. This project includes 311 connections for sites with the current structure. It does not account for any planned developments. However, the system lines that we've built, including the lift stations, are going to be properly sized so that people can continue to add on there. So it is built with some growth in mind. This is the sewer option there, a recap of what we just discussed, and the total bid price for this project. This is what the project is going to cost us in total, including engineering fees, bond counsel servicing fees, etc. Just under $20 million. So as far as the timeline goes, on June 17th, we were presented council with a second funding package from USDA. Along with that, I introduced the proposed rate structure. And right now, we are currently in the loan closing phase of this project. And I'll just go ahead and mention that construction is estimated to take about a year to complete after the commencement begins. We don't have a loan closing date just yet, but this would be after that. So after any pre-construction hearing meetings and the contractors are given the notice to proceed. So why are we here tonight? So tonight is about transparency. Your city council, they're very adamant about that. They wanted to make sure that as soon as we got information, it was given to the community and giving you all an opportunity to discuss this, hear why we're having to change some things on this project and how that affects you. So as I mentioned at the June 17th meeting, I presented to council and this community our proposed rate structure along with that second funding package. Council did accept the second funding package, but the rates were still subject to review by USDA. As part of the loan closing process, USDA reviewed our submitted budget and rate structure, and they were unable to accept the initial version. So over the past week or so, I submitted a couple different versions, trying to keep the rates as low as feasibly possible for our customers. Before you tonight, what I'm about to present is the approved USDA structure. Terry is currently out at a conference in Fort Worth, but she said that she will get me the approval letter by tomorrow. This project, it's still on track and it's still moving forward until we receive direction here as staff that it is no longer a viable project. So here is that proposed rate structure, and there were some handouts that went out. If you don't have one, I just say that find a friend and you can share. If you need one, you want to take it home with you, just get with me after the meeting. I certainly can run some more copies here before we leave tonight. We initially had a usage rate structure of $7 cost per thousand, And that base rate for your individual customer was at $59.53. So how that broke down on your average customer looked something like this. So your trash is $19.95 per month. Your water usage, if you're using 4,100 gallons per month, would sit around $55.96. And adding in that sewer at the initial proposed rate would increase that about $88.23 for a total average bill of $164.14. So this assumes that you have one trash cart, that you use 4,100 gallons. Everybody's scenario is different. Some people have more usage than that. Some people have less, but this would assume about a 3-person household and that they're working outside the home. So here's the approved rate structure. So what we had to do is we had to go up on the base rates. So you can see that 59 is now 71.44. And the cost per thousand is now tiered. So that means that it starts off at $7, then goes to $8, $10, $11, and $12, and then it caps out at $12. And so each additional 1,000 that you would use, you're paying $12 for each of that. Here's what it would look like on your average system customer. You can see down there at the bottom that increased to $106, $18.31 over what we had initially calculated for. Now I'm sure there's a question out there as to, well, what's the reason for the change, right? That blame needs to go entirely to me. When I was creating this budget, I was using year one budget, which was just the interest only. USDA did not accept that. We were not on the same page. I should have clarified further that it needed to be year 2027, which includes the principal payments. So for that fact alone, that principal included into it, that's why we have the increase here before you tonight. So I do apologize to everybody in this room for getting that wrong and for not clarifying. You know, this was an extremely tight timeline. We were given the information on Friday, and the council meeting on the 17th was the following Monday. So I was up here Friday night and Saturday, and on Friday I was confirming everything with our financial director, but we did not look at the correct year. So that's where we messed up on that one, where I messed up on that one. So how does that look compared to our neighbors? Well, not great. Let's all be honest. This is quite a bit, right? This is the approved amount, that $71.74. It's higher than any of our other neighbors. We get close to Moody. Moody is building a brand new sewer system this year. But they've had a collection system in place for many years. Lorena, Robinson, they've also had a collection system in place for many, many years. Will their rates be going up soon? Probably so. There's an extreme expansion going on at Bullhide Creek, so that's probably coming, but we're not 100% sure on that. But these systems are going back decades. I'm talking 20 or 50 years or so. Here's what it looks like statewide. This is a 2024 Texas Municipal League survey. You can see we have 311 connections. The average total customer for the 2,000 and less population base is 376. Again, these systems go back decades, not 2024 brand new construction costs. Here's the map, just in case we need to go back and reference that. I think everybody's had an opportunity to see it. But some considerations before you tonight. We're building this brand new sewer system in 2024. The costs are what they are. We had a very competitive bid process with the exception of the roads. Everything had multiple bids. These costs are just kind of what's out there in the marketplace. The structure, I did mention it is now tiered. So the idea behind that is to shift some of the cost away from the base rate, something that everybody has to pay no matter what, to some of those customers that are going to be using more. We do expect higher demand for this service. So as new customers are added on, the idea would be to revise that rate structure to account for more customers paying into the system. There's no guarantee that we'll be able to accomplish this, right? But I did speak with USDA and clarify on this one that each year we're going to be submitting a revised budget. So in theory, if we were to add 10 to 15 more customers, those rates would be able to be brought down, assuming everything else stays the same, right? USDA, I believe they offered us the best financing package they had available. We got 45% grant across the board. That's over $8.8 million. I think it would be very reasonable to assume that a better opportunity to build this system is going to be very hard to come by. And I'll throw out there the last little piece here. We get numerous calls each month about the sewer system. And it's one of the biggest impediments that we have for any businesses or new home developments wanting to come in. That's a service that they're looking to move elsewhere for. And with that, I will open it up to questions from the community.
All right, do we have any questions out, and the citizens have anything they'd like to ask or make a comment on? Yeah, okay, sir? Would you come to the mic, please, and state your name? We know.
Oh, okay. I had a moment there. I just watched Biden.
Okay.
Sorry if you're a Democrat. When you said that the people that are added on here, you look at revising the base rate, right?
Yes, sir. And
Now,
maybe some of
does
the
that have
usage
to
too.
go back to USDA to be proved?
It would.
Okay. So there's no guarantee that that would, I mean, they're the ones that's putting you at $78 as a base rate now, right?
There's a few different ways that we could have approached the structure, but yes, ultimately it's USDA that's going to sign off because they're trying to protect their
So
interests.
that's kind of a pie in the sky and just bringing it up. And the other thing I'm a little curious about, they've already approved this right here.
That's
right.
correct. Yes, sir.
The last meeting we had, we were having to hurry up the decision because we didn't know what the rate was going to be and we needed to get the thing turned in. So how do we have an approval now when we didn't have one for what we were approving before? I understand what you're saying. That's a clerical thing. It happens. But I'm trying to figure out, why couldn't they have approved what we were discussing last time before we ever discussed it, compared to this time, which they've already approved it?
That's a great question. Great question. I knew that this one was going to come up. That Friday before that meeting is when we got the information on how the loan and grant ratio was going to be broken down. From my understanding, the USDA regional office didn't even know what that was going to look like. So we didn't know how to put those numbers into the budget.
Okay. Well, that was my question.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any question? Yes,
bet.
sir. Come up. Your name, sir?
Jim O'Brien.
Jim
I'm
McBride.
just curious to when they come through and do that, what are we gonna do about our old septic or old aerator systems?
Sure. So for the 311 that are approved on that map in red,
I'm one of them.
Okay.
well, good to go. We will,
You guys taking care of that, or do we
Yes,
gotta
sir.
take care of that?
we're going to be filling it in. Yes, sir.
All right, so you'll dispose of it and everything, there won't be no waste charge or nothing?
For the removal of the OSSF? No, sir. That is included as a part of this
All right.
budget.
It's
That's what I
included.
wanted to know.
And the hookup.
And the hookup,
And the
free
hookup.
hookup. Yes, sir.
All right.
It's all free.
The city is
Appreciate
paying
it.
to pump the septic tanks before they're forced to be filled in?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. It's hard to stand sometimes.
We can take the mic to you if you need to.
Yeah, we can
So-
hand the mic to you if you need to
Okay, it's
sit
okay.
down.
The 311, is that just phase one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have to go back to the USDA for phase 2, 3, and all that, right? And
There-
ask for more? It kind of starts all over again?
Yes, ma'am. There technically is no phase 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
So that's really whatever we want it to look like. And yes, we could probably go with another USDA loan for that if the fund is solvent financially. But we may be able to look at other avenues like Texas Water Development Board or
Okay.
some sort of other avenue for funding
Okay.
those additional phases.
And then my other question is the engineering cost just for phase 1?
Yes, ma'am. Just for
Okay,
this phase.
because several years ago, somebody released some information that we had already paid the engineer over $1 million. That was probably 6 or 7 years ago. And they got it from Freedom of Information request, and they put it out there, you know. So I just didn't know if the engineer has already, if we've paid him for figuring out where the sewer is going to run through all of town, or if it's just for the phase 1.
Well, on your point there, so the way it was designed, say, 6, 8 months ago, it was designed for a bigger portion of the community, every color you see up there. Not necessarily all of Bruceville-Eddy, but all the colors. And it wasn't until we got the first bids in December where we knew this was out of the question, so
Yeah.
it was condensed. So in that sense, yes, the engineering work did pay for some of these other areas, these other
Okay.
phases that aren't being included in
So
this
if the
plan.
phases get, in the future, when it comes time to do the phases,
The designs are
we
there.
might
Yeah,
not, the
the
design is
designs
there,
are
and we
there.
might not need to hire or pay more money to engineer for that stuff, because it's already there, unless it had to be changed. Okay.
For the most part, yes, as
ma'am.
long as we keep the same engineer and, yeah, no other developments come in that need to be accounted for.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and then this first part of the sewer, if, for everybody of Bruceville-Eddy, the waste station is gonna be big enough to do that's part of this
The plant
phase, as you wanna call
itself
it.
is gonna be big
It's gonna
enough
be
to
big
do-
enough to service everybody.
Okay, including
But right
the-
now, it's just gonna be 311 people using it, but it's big enough, so we don't have to
Yeah.
build another one of those.
Yeah.
You know, so we, and stuff like that, and the lift
That's good.
stations and things.
That's good.
Yes, ma'am, so.
Okay.
Yes, sir, did you have a question?
With developers, when they want to come in and build subdivisions and all, on the trunks that they'll have to build and all, that are not there now at all, depending on what growth is done from there, will the city be responsible for paying for any sections of the new trunks to the subdivisions? Or will the builders be responsible for all the costs of putting in the subdivision?
So traditionally, the approach city council here has taken has been developer pays all.
Pays all.
That's not to say that they couldn't look at some sort of development agreement where there is some sort of incentive structure, but for the most part, yeah, it'd be all the developer.
They would pay it all.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Yes, sir.
Apologize because I haven't been to the meetings before, so
That's
it's going to
okay.
be specific about 95 Brown Drive. I live on there. And where that fits in there, is that in the first stage?
No, sir.
The red, you're talking about where the red is?
On Brown Drive?
Well, I should have brought my glasses.
You're on Brown?
Yeah, 95 Brown Drive, the first one.
No, you're right there.
Yeah, so what phase, that's the second phase?
So there's no second phase or third phase.
Oh, okay.
If we get to that point, we'll look for the most economical section to add on, so getting the most customers for the least amount of money. It could be Brown Drive, it could be Soul Circle, it could be Horseshoe Bend, we just don't know what that looks like yet.
Okay, when will the rates start then? After it's approved then, or when do the rates go up? As soon as the loan's approved, or when the project's done? When we've
So
got
the rates would
service?
only go into effect if you receive the sewer service. So once your tap is installed and you start using the service, then that's
Then
when the
it's-
rate would go
yeah.
into effect.
All right, thank you very much.
You're
Yes,
welcome,
sir.
Chief.
Anyone else have any more questions? Yes, ma'am?
Carol Lance. So some questions. I'm a budget person too, and so I would like to know a few things. How is the school paying for the sewer system? Is that part of
As a business.
phase one? And are they going to be paying just like a consumer is?
So the school system has about 5 or 6 water meter taps. They're all various sizes. So the way we have this is the simplest approach, and they would be paying based on each tap that they have and then any usage that they have. Now, the designs themselves, I believe, they're just going to have one connection into their system that routes out to the various buildings, but it's been a while since I've looked at that section. Does that
And
answer your question?
I understand a mistake is a mistake, and I'm not laying blame on you personally. But as the city administrator, have you looked at any other ways that you don't have to throw the increase in costs back to the consumer? The only reason I ask that is I know that there are a great number of less fortunate people in our community that are going to have a horrible time struggling to try to make ends meet with the last proposed approved amount. And now you're proposing to add more.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm asking if there's anything else that y'all have even thought to look at, that you can cut some costs.
We've racked our brain on this pretty good. Unfortunately, it's a $20 million project. It's huge, and we only have 311 connections or customers paying into that. There's really only a few ways to slice that. I did go back and forth with USDA over the last couple weeks. I tried to shuffle some numbers around, spread them out. We did meet in the middle on splitting out some of the costs for the employees, because we're gonna have technicians that are doing both sewer and water, right? They do roads. So that got us a little bit of savings, but really the biggest bump was the fact that we had to look at 2027 and count for those principles. And I understand why they want us to do that. They want us to get the rates in high to be able to account and pay for that. But I can't think of anything else. And I've had several conversations with other city managers and folks who are in this industry to find a different way. But unfortunately, no.
I guess, how many new vehicles did we recently purchase for the city employees?
For the police department, those for the
No,
public
because
works?
I know that's separate.
Sure, good to go. For the public works, we've bought 2 or 3 here recently, but I mean, our justification for that is we had trucks breaking down in the field. Guys are having to spend their time to go out there and get them back up running, even on weekends when we've got technicians out there checking on leaks and water meters. And it's just one of those standard costs, and council decided, and I'm not gonna speak for them, but our idea was to go with a new vehicle. That way we're not having to get into another situation with a used vehicle that's breaking down on us again, or ending up at the shop for 3 or 4 weeks, which is kind of what we were dealing with before that.
Yeah, we were putting in transmissions in, we was putting in all kinds of stuff in, and just they just still wouldn't run, so we had to do something. But even if we took those 3 vehicles and not have bought 3 vehicles, just made them walk, that still wouldn't allow the $18 a month for 311 people.
I just think that there's going to be some that truly cannot afford that.
Oh, yes, ma'am, and that's true.
Honestly, I do.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. I don't even get it. And I'm throwing
I'm just
fit because I
asking
don't
if
even
there's
get sewer.
not something else somewhere that y'all could look at,
Yes, ma'am.
that you could cut, something.
Well, they've been, Kent's been, he's been racking his brain, and we've been sitting down at the table, and we got our financial lady in there with us. We got USDA. We had Johnny. We've been trying every way in the world to keep it that $18 a month extra off, but there's no way.
Can I answer?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Carol. Mr. Prater?
No, never mind.
Okay.
I was gonna talk about it.
Oh. Yes, ma'am.
Cassidy Montgomery. So theoretically, we need the sewer to grow. We need businesses to come in the future. If those businesses do come in and they start bringing in tax revenue, would it ever lower the cost of it?
Yeah, businesses will pay a higher rate too for the sewer than the citizens will. Any business, any stuff, they'll pay a higher rate. And yes, the more businesses we get, the more revenue we're going to get, and it should help. It should help.
So like when phase 2 and 3 hit,
Yeah, well,
it could be lower.
we keep calling. Even myself, I call it phase 1, phase 2, but there's not really phases. It's just the next section because it's all been built into one. You know, the price. We know what it was as of today, what it would cost to do everything of Bruceville-Eddy, but we're just having to do a section at a time, not a phase. It's a section.
Okay, so
But,
like section 2 and 3, if we
Yes,
do have the CEFCO and we're bringing in more revenue, it could lower those costs.
We're praying.
Okay.
I mean, that's all we can do is just hope and pray for it. You know, I mean, trust me, I wish we could get it what we could have got it 30 years ago when they first started talking sewer, you know, or 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, when it was a lot cheaper than it is now, you know. But, you know, everything goes up every month. Every time you turn around, it's, I mean, well, you've been to the grocery store, you got children, you know what it's like. So it's terrible. It's just really bad.
Say something.
Yes.
And y'all have to remember that we're starting from scratch. These other cities that you see on here, they've had things in place for years, but we have zero. So we're having to build everything from scratch. And that's what makes it so much more expensive, because we don't have anything in place that we can build off of. And I hate it. I hate that. I wish that in the past they had moved forward with this when things were cheaper, the economy was in a better spot. But without sewer, we're not going to get businesses in here. We're not going to get new homes built, and the revenue is going to die out. We need to have more revenue coming in, more businesses, more jobs available for our young people. And so we have to break through somewhere. Somebody's got to go first. And so I think it will, in the long run, pay off and be good for the community.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Sorry, Mr. Wiggins. I didn't see him.
I have a
What's your name?
Colton Smith. I have a big one that no one's asked about yet, or it didn't need to be asked, but on the water meter size, are all residential, everyone, all 311 people, are they all the 3/4 quarter lines or the 5/8 line? What is the 1 inch line, the 2 inch line? What are all these different rates for?
Good question. So the majority of, well, pretty much all of our residential are that 3/4 or 5/8 inch meter.
Okay.
We don't really have many 5/8s, if any, but they're predominantly all the 3/4. The 1 inch, the 2 inch, the 3 inch, those are comprised of various businesses around town. There are a few businesses that are in that 1/4 inch category, but engineers determine what size they need to maintain that water pressure, and typically that's some sort of commercial higher end user that's got that in place.
Okay. That was my big question. My second one would be, it's $12 extra. Which thing has actually been approved for USDA?
This rate structure right here.
Right there.
And it pays for
The-
our
the-
operating
the
and
71.
maintenance budget.
71.
Yes.
So the other one is
No
gone.
longer.
That doesn't exist.
No,
Correct.
that, it's like our last council meeting, we said that is what we, you know, it's kind of like what we estimated it
Right.
to be. But that, we also said without USDA's final approval.
Now, do we have to resubmit this, as y'all said earlier?
No, this has been signed off on as of Monday afternoon.
Yes.
So currently, this is our rate regardless?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Wiggins, you had the mic. Did you have questions, sir? Oh.
No, go ahead and take
Any more citizens, and they have anything else? Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Montgomery. So out of the 311 service connections that will be available, do they have to hook up? Do they have the option not to hook up or to hook up?
have
So
to
they're
hook.
forced to hook up no matter what?
That's correct. It is a mandatory public good.
Okay. Any more questions? Citizen, yes, sir.
I'm Val Roaming, and I'm asking a question about the, how did you come up with the rate for the sewer? It appears on your handout, it shows that you're basing it on 4,100 gallons of usage. And that's 4,100 gallons of water going through your meter, correct?
So the 4,100 was just an average
Okay.
that I used to kind of present what it would cost for a normal household.
Okay.
You could
Now,
use less than that.
4,100, assuming that's a per month charge, 4,100 gallons of water going through your sewer, or going through your water meter, There's not gonna be 4,100 gallons of water going into the sewer system.
That's correct.
It's going to be a percentage of that. It's not gonna be 100%. Is that common practice with your cities that you surveyed? Is it, if you use a gallon of water, they're gonna charge you for a gallon of sewer? Is that the way it works? Or is there a percentage that
Well-
is charged for the sewer?
No, you bring up a very good point. A lot of cities will use some sort of winter averaging model. We could certainly do that. However, the numbers that we have right now are the numbers that we have. So if we pull away from usage, which would help a little bit with that, for most customers, we have to go up on the base rate to pay for that. So this at least is equitable in the sense that you have an option of not using the water service to reduce your bill on both ends, whereas the other way, that base rate's got to be high enough to account for the costs that we got approved by USDA. Now, is that something that we can look at changing a couple years from now once the sewer system's implemented and we can get a better sense of how our actual costs are playing out? Absolutely. It's just going to take some planning and take some conversation on what that looks like.
Yeah, that definitely needs to happen, because I don't think anyone in this room is gonna have 100% of their water going through the sewer system.
Nobody
So they're
will, sir.
paying for something they're
Yeah,
not
no
actually
one will.
getting.
That's kind of the
Thank you.
problem with sewer.
Yes, yes, sir. He beat you by that quick.
I have something to add to that.
Okay.
Does that water and sewer, are you still charged separately, or is it one bill?
It's one bill. You would have a breakdown on what the sewer cost is, the water cost
So if we
is.
use 4,000 gallons of water, it's charged from to your water and sewer?
Correct.
Okay.
It's tiered. Trust me, I get these questions. I remember sitting, when I first bought my first house in Greenville, I looked at my water bill and I said, what on earth? Why are they charging me more money for the sewer than they do for water?
Right.
I could certainly resonate with that, right? It's just the simple fact that sewer usually costs more than water. And so
Right.
you got to spread that out.
What happens if you can't pay your sewer bill? Do we turn off your water?
I do not remember the specific provision in the water agreement, but essentially you have to pay your bill. Otherwise, the water's turned off. That is our leverage to make sure that the city is getting the money that it's due.
Yeah, it's just like when you get your water bill and it has your trash bill on it. You don't pay the trash bill part of it. Well, then, you're late on your bill. And
I can burn
you
my
don't-
trash, though.
I know, but.
I
you
have to
know,
have water.
I know,
take
that is true.
showers
You have
or-
to have water.
I just don't like to be charged double for my water, essentially.
You're not charged double for anything. And the question keeps coming up is, what do I have to pay before we on it? This is a body that's responsible for this community. And we're the ones, well, not me, but you guys elected them to make sure things run around. They can't charge you for something they're not providing, but as a city, they're required to provide certain services. And that's where we're at here. In the past, if they provided this before, it'd be considerably less. I think it's a little naive to think that price is ever gonna go down.
Right.
That's not the way things work.
I understand it won't go down.
2 years from now, $78 cost goes down really good to you, not necessarily because they go up, but because you make a little bit more money, and with the inflation rate being what it is right now, everything's going up.
Right.
I own a company, we buy boxes, they went up 5 times in the last 12 months.
Right.
And that's just hardware. Okay. This is a ridiculous amount to pay for sewer, but the bottom line is it's gonna get worse and worse. This is 20 times what they wanted the first
go.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am, you sure can.
Moving right along, is it still gonna be based on like a winter rate? Like and what month would it be, December? You had said, are they still basing your usage based on 1 month in December or
No,
in the
ma'am.
winter? They're not? When did that change?
I think it was talked about, but it was never set in stone.
We never done it.
Well, I think a lot of the citizens may have gotten that impression because it was talked about so much.
Oh, okay.
So what month of usage is the rate going to be based on, or is it going to go by your monthly usage? Like if I use 8,000 gallons in July, I'll pay the sewer for using 8,000 gallons. And if I use 4,000 in December, then my bill would be a little bit less
Yeah.
because I used
Yeah,
4,000.
it'd be
There's
month to
currently
month.
no averaging. Whatever you use for the month is the amount that you would pay for the sewer.
It'd be month to month.
Now, I understand that's a hard pill to
That's
swallow.
changed.
Again, I can go back and I could take out that usage from y'all's
Yeah.
averages for those 3 months, but where do I put that? The only place to put it is in the base rate, and that's a rate that everybody pays every month, regardless.
Okay.
Averages just tell me that's how you come up with the number, but nobody here pays any more than they use each and every month, correct?
Okay, all right,
I didn't catch all that.
all right.
John
Hang on
Moore,
just a minute.
407 Horseshoe Bend, most of y'all know me. Talking about city services, you know, y'all are providing water, which we appreciate, and other service, trash and stuff. Working on this sewer system, that's great. One thing I brought up several times, I've never got a straight answer on, is natural gas. We're out there on Horseshoe Bend, y'all in town got natural gas, you know, you pay a minimal heating bill, blah, blah, blah. Out there we're at, we don't have natural gas. If y'all talk to TXU, anybody about when you're breaking these roads up, putting these sewer lines in, maybe getting us some natural gas out there where you got us annexed in the city? You know, we'd like to have nicer services too out there. That's all I had to say.
I don't have gas, and I live in the city.
There is natural gas.
Yeah, yes, sir, there is natural gas, but it stops at a certain, on down 107. It stops right there in one certain spot. I would love to have gas. Yeah, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You have a question? Okay, well, we'll take a statement too.
On the issue of the school, yeah, and it was kind of run around, and what I'm understanding, what you said, was that 1 or 2 of the meters would be accounted for, the other 3 would not. Well, okay, so that means the 311 people that are paying for this first initial stage, we're already paying more because we're the ones who are establishing it. And then you turn around and a lot of us are seniors. And we're still paying school taxes, and we haven't had kids in our school for 20 some odd years, 30 years, some of them 40 years. And now you're asking us to pay for more of the school, and we're still paying taxes on the school? I don't think that's fair. I think every single meter at the school ought to be charged, because that way that cost gets shared by the whole community. That's my...
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, and I'll address that
Yes,
one. I'm
okay.
sorry if I wasn't clear. Each and every meter at the school district has been accounted for,
Yeah.
and the current model accounts for every gallon
They
of
will
water
pay
that would
for
go through
5.
those meters.
Yeah.
They would have to
And
pay
they
for
will
it.
pay, and the school, if I'm not mistaken, will pay a higher rate for the sewer.
Well, they have
'Cause
higher,
they have a bigger.
Higher tier.
Yeah.
and they would use more, so
And
they
they would
pay
use
those
more.
higher
But
rates.
all 5 meters will be charged.
5 or 6.
Yes, ma'am, all 5.
Got a
Yes, ma'am.
question over here.
Okay, oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry about that, I was looking over here at Mr. Griffin, I think over here.
So my name's Diana Richardson. So y'all are talking about more people getting on the sewer and maybe revising things down the road? Does the FDA have to approve all those revisions and, I mean, the
Yes,
USDA?
For adding
Like they had
additional
to approve the rates and all that, and if you change the rates, and do they have to get involved and approve all of that also?
Approving additional
Like you were saying,
sections
you
or
were saying,
developers coming on.
you were saying if more people get on the sewer, that the rate could go down. But you've already said that the FDA had to approve the rates Do they have to approve the rates going down with more, do they have to be involved in it? That's what
Yes.
I'm wondering.
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Okay.
We will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
accountable to them each and every year. We'll have to submit reports, audits, budgets.
So once again, it's based on what they decide because they loan the money, yeah, or
Essentially,
granted
yes.
the money,
We
yeah.
can be creative. We can come up with our
Yeah.
own proposal, but they're
And
the
try
ones
to
who
go
sign off
somewhere
on
else
it.
for money, you know. Yes, Mr. Wiggins?
Like there's only certain way that USDA, we have to guarantee them that they're gonna get their money. Right, and so there's certain ways to do that, and, you know, certainly we could have said, well, let's take the January, February, March usage on water and utilize that, because, you know, nobody's watering yards, filling up swimming pools, et cetera, during that time. So we'll use that, and we could, but now we're gonna have to raise that base rate up so high, it's gonna hurt everybody, bad. So we said, all right, in order to help control that and make this deal go through, to get sewer for everybody, when we're going on a monthly usage. And we had to do that to keep the base rates down. So there's basically only two ways to do this. And then could, like Kent stated, if a housing project goes in and we get a bunch of more houses in here, could the rate get lowered? And the answer is yes. It would get restructured. Or maybe some businesses come in and that would increase our revenue, and then we could restructure our rate at a certain time. But keep in mind that when we do restructure, USDA is going to have to approve that restructure, because again, we're going to say we want to lower our rate. We've got more residential, we've got more commercial in here, and they'll say, okay, let's see what we can do, and then we can maybe go back to the January, February, March issue and go that route, because we'll have more connections, and so that will lower your rate. But right now, starting out, you know, this is our only options, folks. And it's very important for this council to be very transparent with the people and to let y'all know about our rates. And when we found out, okay, it's not going to be like we told you it was going to be here a while back. And Ken owned up to it. He made a mistake. That's okay. We all make mistakes. And we said, okay, let's bring it to the council ASAP. And we did, just tonight. They just found out Monday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, found out Monday, and we're here tonight. We have to give 72 hours notice. And so folks, it's on the $4,100, I mean $4,100, 4,100 gallons, you know, you're talking about $18 more a month. And that's a lot to some people, I got that. So, you know, what we're faced with, do we want to turn this down for, in that case, I'll say $18? And to me, the answer is no. Because you think it's going to be cheaper maybe 2, 3, 5 years from now? No, it might be 40 million instead of 20.
At where we're at today.
But the whole thing is we're trying, and talking about budget, talking about vehicles, any type of equipment. We've been working on our budget, and we worked on it today at the budget committee meeting. We cut things. We had to. There's only so much money, you know, and everybody, it'd be nice for y'all to drive new vehicles and have all new backhoe and equipment. You know, there isn't nothing like having good equipment, I'll tell you. Because when you go out there to get in a vehicle and it breaks down on you, or your equipment breaks down, that's just time and man hours and money. So we're doing the best we can. I'm telling you, you can bet you one thing, old Ricky Wiggins is watching the money. And I'm keeping a tight reins on it, I can tell you. and doing the very best I can for y'all. That's all and everyone up here is too. And so we appreciate y'all coming. We appreciate all your comments and your concern, and we do take it all in consideration. Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am?
Everybody keeps talking about the money. I appreciate that you guys are going to pay that extra 100 feet or so to connect to my house. If we want to lower those rates, let's take that $3,715,473.76 and divide it by 311 people. Now see how much you would have to pay.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the free hookup, yes, ma'am. Anybody, any other questions or comments? Okay, all right, sounds like we're do we have anything from the council? Mr. Wiggins?
I'll make a motion that we accept the approved rates as presented tonight, with the base rate being $71.44.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Prater made a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it. Okay, and 7:50 is the time, okay?
Richard.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, Joyce second that. It is now 7:53 and this council meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please turn off your mics, guys.
Before you leave, did anybody want a copy of the handout?
When you was just driving by and decided to stop by. Yeah.